To now adjourn. The honourable member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm rising at the hour of adjournment, or as we colloquially call it around here, late show, to pursue a question I asked of the Prime Minister, but the response came from the Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs. The question that I asked was on March the 9th and was in relation to the events of February 28th, when illegally the government of Israel and the government of the United States authorized attacks on Iran, strikes that in my question to the Honourable Minister, I quoted our former Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honourable Lloyd Axworthy, who was actually wrote to the Toronto Star to say, quote, "Canada once rejected America's aggressive, unlawful foreign policy. Today, the Prime Minister embraced it," unquote. And he went on to say, again quoting Lloyd Axworthy, "Under the United Nations Charter, cross-border uses of force are prohibited except in two narrow cases," close quote. He then pointed out that Operation Epic Fury, as the White House called it, applies to neither. So I wanted to ask the Prime Minister at the time whether he would belatedly condemn what the U.S. and Israel did in attacking Iran. The response from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, just to summarize it, was that while we have never supported Iran's never obtaining a while we support that Iran never obtained nuclear weapons, this support is not a blank check. Canada reaffirms international law binds all parties. The U.S. and Israel must respect the rules of international engagement. In other words, this stopped and fell short of a condemnation of our allies of ignoring international law. And that's, in fact, what we did. And the condemnation should have been from Canada's government immediately. Now, I want to include in my brief remarks tonight and pursuing this question, which I rarely do, I'd like to thank a member of the opposition benches, a newly elected member of Parliament from the riding that abuts mine, shall we say, my neighbour, the Honourable Liberal member for Victoria, who was, prior to entering politics, Associate Professor of International Law at the University of Victoria, who was unequivocal in issuing a written statement that Canada's response fell short. And I'll quote the Honourable Member for Victoria, as he was quoted in the Times Colonist, quote, "Canada cannot endorse the unilateral and illegal acts of military force." And he went on to call for, quote, and I endorse this, "a consistent Canadian standard, one that applies the laws of war and the principle of protecting civilians, whether those civilians are allies or adversaries." Now, the difficulty we have here is that, number one, Canada should have been quick to condemn in the first Trump administration, and I think we actually did, when they tore up the agreement that had been reached with Iran, which was working. Of course, the goal is to make sure Iran never has nuclear weapons. The government of Iran is ruthless, ignores human rights, is abusive, and also exports terrorism. Nobody questions that. But ignoring international law is a grave error. Now, in the case of the original U.S.-Iran deal, it was working. It was trust but verify. The international atomic energy experts were getting access to all of the research facilities. So as the time passes, I wonder what this government is saying about the United Nations Charter and international law. Is it only when it's convenient?
The Honourable